Hey social media, it's been a while since I've made one of these things. It is May 30th, Friday, 1:05 in the morning. A lot of stuff has happened since my last video. Before I wanted to hop into content creation again and heal my relationship to how I create content and just my identity as a creator again. But for the past few months, some new things have happened just in the United States in general. And it's a lot to process. It's been a wild journey just waking up in my political consciousness and understanding current events, understanding where the United States is going, and especially as a brown person in America. Also as a second generation Filipino American. I don't even know how to start this, but I've been on a transformational journey, just understanding and asking questions. I'm like a 5-year-old. I ask why? Why is this? Why is this? Why is this? Why is there racism? Where does racism come from? Why is there hate? Why is there genocide? Why is there fascism? What is fascism? What's communism? What's Marxism? What's capitalism? What are all these different things? And so I started to want to understand why the current administration is the way it is today. Why do so many people who have a similar skin color as me? Why are we getting detained and deported? Why is there concentration camps being created? What is all of this? I also got a new passport. I had to renew it. Now, if worst case comes to shove, I can leave the United States. And yeah, so I was questioning all these things, and I first started going into like, what is fascism? I read a few books. I got a few books. Let me get the books. I'll get the books. A lot of books. This one's On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century by Timothy Schneider. Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them by Jason Stanley. These are two Yale University professors that just fled the United States because America is now a Christian nationalist fascist theocracy, oligarchy. These things answered a lot of questions as to what's happening, gave me more language to understand, like, what is fascism? And is the government today fascist? Yeah, it is. And so that's been a crazy ride. Also, this video, it's more for myself, like to document just what I've done over the past few months. I've been heavy on research, understanding history. Why is the world the way it is today? I also started reading some other books on an app called Readwise. This is how I read with ADHD. It helps me turn any digital book into an audiobook. ChatGPT's in it too, so if I don't understand something, I can have it simplify it, and really helps me learn 1,000 times faster. I read all the time, every day now. So these are some books and notes that I've been wanting to understand. Why is there so much anti-communist rhetoric, and what even is that, and why, and where does that come from? So I've been reading The Jakarta Method by Vincent Bevins, also Manufacturing Consent, Noam Chomsky, How to Stand Up to a Dictator by Maria Ressa. I've been reading Autocracy Inc by Anne Applebaum, How to Be an Anti-Racist. I also have Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon, Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams, who's a former Facebook executive that basically leaked all the information and behind the scenes of how she brought foreign policy into Facebook, and how Facebook basically partnered with authoritarian governments and used its algorithm to influence voting patterns and decisions in different third world countries in Southeast Asia. Yeah, I've been learning a lot of things. And then we also have the war in Israel and Palestine. So I started asking, why is all this happening? I eventually asked enough questions to get to one of, I think, the most important things in my learning process is colonialism. And then I started asking, what is a Filipino American during this time? I wanted to start learning about my culture, and then I started learning all types of things about just the Philippines and how Philippines was colonized. All of our history and heritage and cultural wisdom was burned in the war in 1945 during the Manila Massacre. Also the Philippine-American War. Like, there were a lot of things that weren't taught to us, that weren't taught to me in terms of what happened to my people. The Philippine-American War, I think in 1902, Americans genocided over 1 million Filipinos, and we're not taught this. Changed our history, rewrote our language, miseducated us on who we were. We were taught that we were barbarians and savages when we were actually a sophisticated civilization. Pre-colonial times. I just learned so many different things. So I learned about decolonization, especially with the book Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon, and the sacred journey and process decolonization is. And so that just opened up a whole rabbit hole of things. Yeah, and I realized that a lot of the reason why the world is today is because of colonialism. That was like one of my biggest epiphanies. And I've just been navigating through the sacred rage that Fanon talks about in my internal experience, the grief of understanding what's happening in my particular country, what's happened to my people. How do you heal from that? And where do we go from there? And not just for as a Filipino American, second generation, who had not really any touch with his culture growing up. I used to never really care about being Filipino. I never had Filipino pride or Pinoy pride. And now I'm starting to understand why in a lot of ways. But yeah, I started understanding that the root of why a lot of things are the way they are today is one aspect is colonialism. And I was like, okay, what else do I decolonize? So I'm decolonizing my relationship to my own culture. What about Christianity? Because in the name of religion causes a lot of wars. I'm very spiritual, but I want to go deeper into decolonizing Christianity because I had a lot of traumatic experiences with Christianity growing up. So I'm like, what was pre-colonial Christianity before it was used in the name of war and killing and genocide? So I picked up Secret Teachings of All Ages, started reading Magus of Strovolos, the works of Daskalos, like what is Gnostic Christianity? Started going into the Nag Hammadi Scriptures, Gospel of Thomas, Mary Magdalene. What were the original teachings that were removed from mainstream religion, and what was the actual true teachings of Jesus? So I've been trying to decolonize my relationship to Christianity and see the true version of what it is, aside from what it is in the name of colonialism and imperialism. So I started doing that. Some other books: Color of Law, The Hate Next Door, Matson Browning, Capitalist Realism. I'm an entrepreneur, so for the past 5 years, I've learned how to navigate a capitalist society as an entrepreneur. I have an entrepreneurial mindset. And now that I'm decolonizing capitalism, I'm decolonizing economics, I'm decolonizing my culture, I'm decolonizing religion and other spiritual belief systems that were misframed, misinterpreted. Like right now, America is a Christian nationalist state, and it's using quote unquote Christianity to justify dehumanizing entire groups of people, like the LGBTQ community, people of color, trying to bring segregation back in the name of God. So like, I've just been in a deep process of dismantling. Oh, another good book is Brown Skin, White Minds, on decolonizing the Filipino psyche, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, or Paulo Freire, Legacy of Ashes, the story of the CIA. The Jakarta Method unearths why there's so much anti-communist rhetoric today, and how anti-communist rhetoric was used by the CIA and the United States to justify the mass genocide and killing of over 100,000 Indonesians, innocent left-center people who are not radical at all. And that was the cause, the beginning of all these words that are used and just thrown around in political discourse today. I know I've been rambling for like 10 minutes now, but I've been learning a lot of things. And I've been processing it in my consciousness and processing it in my body, processing it in my mind, in my intellect, and also now trying to balance that with my heart space and how I show up. During this time, it's changed my life, the knowledge that I'm learning, because I never really cared about this aspect of reality before. I'm new to politics. Like I just started waking up with the Trump administration, and learning all these things is very sad. It's very depressing, but it's the work that I've been really wanting to do and called to do over the past few months. I was excited to do YouTube, but when I started waking up to all this stuff, I'm like, man, I don't even know how I'm going to create. How can I create during this time? But I think enough of a good portion of the things that I've been learning have been kind of integrating and marinating. I've gone through a grieving period. Now I'm starting to come to a place where I'm trying to integrate the wisdom and the knowledge and incorporate that into how I show up as a creator. I don't know who's going to watch this video, and this video is really more for me, but that's what I've been up to. I've been trying to do things to be like a normal human being, still doing what I got to do, but with this new knowledge, this new information. My girlfriend, she likes using the analogy of the blue pill and the red pill, Matrix. When you take the blue pill, you choose to remain in ignorance. And I'm someone who continuously takes part in the red pill. I just like to dig and again ask why. I'm like a 5-year-old. Why is this? Why is that? Why is this? But why is that? And why is that? And the deeper I go, the more I learn. The sadder, not the sadder I get, but just, it's devastating, yeah. But I want to use what I'm learning to energize the way that I create content and the things that I talk about, in whatever way that looks organically in the moment. It's been, again, a long time since I've turned on the camera, and I don't really know the purpose of this video, other than to just capture how I am in this moment, in this state. I feel good enough to make a YouTube video right now, I guess. I've also been experimenting with TikTok. I've been making a lot of videos on TikTok, and I'm almost at 10,000 followers now, so that's been cool. Yeah, I don't even know how to talk about this stuff. I don't even know how to introduce it. I used to be someone who always wanted to avoid politics. Yeah, there's so many beautiful things that I'm learning too. It's not just sad and depressing, but there's beautiful things that I'm learning about my culture that I never really learned or was exposed to before in my life. Filipino culture, seeing all the wisdom of the indigenous peoples. I was trained and taught to feel inferior. I've been recording a lot of my therapy sessions too lately. I've been going to therapy. And yeah, like just dismantling a lot of things. Thanks for watching if you did. this was really just a brain dump for me to look at later on. As tough of the journey and eye-opening this journey is, like, this is the spiritual classroom that I intentionally signed up for. I've created basically a whole course curriculum in political science and sociology and decolonization and psychology and human behavior and persuasion and deconstructing systems of power and racism, politics, economics. And I've just been going down the rabbit holes, and it's changing me as a person. And we'll see what comes out of it next. This video is getting really long, but I want to just allow it to be what it is and not try to make it perfect or anything too, as I heal as a creator. Currently, again, Friday, May 30th, 2025, 1:26 in the morning. I need to get some sleep. But I'm excited that this information has been integrating in my soul for a little bit to where I feel like I can turn this on and make a YouTube video. So again, thanks for listening. And I'll see you in the next one.